Angel, hey, congratulations on your new short film, Feliz Cumpleaños.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So it's blowing up on the internet. You found an audience for this short film, but we have to
Yes.
ask that initial question: is what actually sparked you to make this short film in the first place? Where did the idea came from?
So the idea originally came from my own personal experience, and I moved to the United States when I was 7 years old with my mom, and I think at that age it was peak consciousness where I kind of just started to really take in and actually see what was happening. And I went through a lot of struggles and, hardships with my mom and just seeing all of that. I kind of wanted to make a film that highlighted my experience because I know it's not just I know I have a unique experience, but I know other immigrants as well had similar experiences. So my goal was really just to have somebody watch my film and feel themselves reflected on screen and kind of heard in a way.
Now you actually touch the emotional nerves of a lot of people who watch this film because there's a lot of connections to a lot of people here in America. Tell us about the story that you wanted to create for a 10-year-old or even child or even you like yourself growing up here in America. What kind of message are we trying to basically display out there?
I think my number one message that I want to display is to show people that we are all human. We all have emotions. Doesn't really matter what kind of background you're from, what ethnicity you're from. Like we all, at the end of the day, have a heart and a soul. And I think a lot of people overlook that, especially with minorities in the United States. And I just wanted to create and share something that told watchers that like, hey, we're humans, we have emotions. We're not just what social media tries to portray as bad people or a negative influence to the country. Like we're all here working hard for the better of our own families.
Now, of course, the portrayal of the parent, this in this case is a single mom, which many Americans and many families here in the United States are from a single mom, household. Can you talk more about that? And you said this was also from your experience, so I'm assuming you also grew up in a single mom household, or is that incorrect?
Yeah. I also grew up with a single mom, and it's, I think, just being older now and reflecting and thinking about how she had multiple jobs, and we didn't have enough money for Christmas gifts. We would have to get like uh, kid toy drives from like churches. Um, I just saw all that struggle, and it just really made me realize the level of sacrifice my mom was doing for me to be here. And I want to kind of, make sure it's in a way all worth it and make sure she knows that I appreciate her sacrifices.
Now, of course, the child's expectations here is you know, as the child that's portrayed on here, it's like a lot of child. It's basically the child's innocence. Can you talk
Hmm.
about the child's innocence of what they actually expect and versus the reality? Because obviously, parents themselves want the best, try to provide the best for any of their children.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a child, you don't really see, I guess it's not really put in front of you all that your parents do. You kind of just take for granted. And I know obviously as a parent, you'd want the best for your child, but sometimes I feel like it's hard for children's at that age to kind of see and recognize those struggles. So I kind of wanted to, I guess I was also that once rascally kid, like, I was like, oh, I want this, I want that, but I wasn't really seeing what it took to get the things that I wanted. And, my mother's like, what's the word? Like, yeah, the struggle that she put into like wanting to give me, I think a lot of kids don't at that age just don't see that. And I wanted to, um, kind of show that in a way, I guess.
So what overall, what does this say about the American dream? I mean, how do we define the American dream today?
I think the American dream can be defined in many ways, but I think for me in this film specifically, I would say the American dream would be being able to grow and be in a country where you feel accepted and you have opportunities and you work for what you want and everybody pulls in their own weight and just a melting pot of, people, experiences, cultures. Yeah.
It is interesting that even though we struggle here in the United States, we still pursue the American dream, despite the fact that we could live elsewhere, whether it's in Mexico or anywhere elsewhere. Because, like myself, I have a goddaughter who's from Ecuador, and she would rather be here struggling in the United States rather than being back home in Ecuador.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a message that resonates. What about being here, struggling that is still, you know, much better than being elsewhere?
I think it's just the safety. Like a lot of people from different countries, like they don't have that safe net, I guess. And I think the United States really does give that to a lot of people. And I think um, people who immigrate here, I mean, are looking for jobs and just trying to support their families that aren't able to come to the United States, or maybe sending money, across the country, or, working for them here. And I just think the United States is a world of opportunities for many people that they don't get to have in their home country.
So, do you believe yourself that you have finally achieved the American dream, or has your mother believed that she did it here?
I don't think so yet. I think achieving the American dream is a constant thing, and it's every day that goes by, I think is one step closer to achieving that dream. I think at the end, a dream for, I guess for me and for my mother would be her finally having a house, and she's not there yet. And I think once that is settled, um, in a way, I think that would be very fulfilling and, present itself as the American dream for her. And I think a lot of other immigrants as well, like for them, it's like just to be able to have a piece of land and a space here to grow and have their families, evolve here in the US in comparison to their home countries.
Absolutely. Now, since your launch of this video on YouTube, it has garnered a lot of views, and especially the fact that you the success is not just only views. The success is also the interaction and of the comments that a lot of people actually made. And there's a lot of positive comments about a lot of positive reactions, a lot of strong feelings about with your film. How do you react to something like that?
It makes me so happy just to see and read all these comments because it really solidifies, I guess, the reason why I made this. If you read the comments, you see everybody's just throwing in their own personal stories and everybody feels reflected and seen on screen. I feel like my film shows a narrative of the Latinx community that isn't really shown in big mainstream media. And I wanted to show that. And I know that my experience, as uniquely as it was to me, I know other immigrants as well experience similar things. And growing up, I never saw a film on TV where I was like, oh, I can relate to that. Or like, oh, that person is Mexican and I can see myself on screen. I have a spotlight on me. That wasn't ever a thing. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to do that, not just for me and my experience, but like for the whole Latino community. And yeah, it's just been amazing to see all the reaction, and it's very validating as a filmmaker as well to hear and to read all of that. It tells me that the stories that I'm sharing are connecting with people, and at the end of the day, a story with a soul and the story that you can connect to is what I want to do, and just overall make people feel less alone and seen in media.
Now let's take a switch here. Talk about the cast. You keep it as a really small, intimate cast for yourself with the mother and son. Can you talk
Mhm.
about the casting process and how you settled with those two actors?
Yeah, so the casting process was pretty, I wouldn't say it was the most difficult aspect of it. The actress actually is my aunt. So it was her first time acting, and I was kind of running out of time. I knew that I wanted to get this film out in a certain timeline and time frame. So I just kind of pitched it to her. I was like, "Hey, aunt, like, do you want to play this role? I know you've never acted, but she has also been through that similar experience herself with her own child. So I knew it would kind of come natural to her. And it was something that I had to make sure that she was okay with. Um, and I just asked her, and my whole family's so supportive, and she's very supportive of all my endeavors. And she was like, "Of course, I'll be down to act in your project." And in terms of my child actor, Sebastian, I actually found him on the casting website Backstage. Um, I knew that I wanted to have a Latino child because I wanted to see myself in him. And I interviewed him. He did an audition. I had coffee with him and his mom. He was telling me about all his like endeavors and like upbringing. And he lived in Mexico for as a child and then moved to the US and is pursuing acting in the US. And he's bilingual and he was I connected a lot to him and I saw myself as a child in him and I thought he was perfect, so I gave him the role. Yeah.
No, as a young filmmaker yourself, because you're just starting your career, there's
Mhm.
one thing to direct someone with experience, which is ironically the child, and someone who's a
Uh-huh.
non-actor, which is ironically your aunt. How do you approach something like that? Because you know that is two different ends of the spectrum, and you have to have a certain style of directing, whether it's a person with experience or a non-actor.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I mean, obviously, somebody who has been acting has more experience into taking direction. I think what worked for me in this project was the amount of rehearsals and the freedom I gave the actors and the characters. I really wanted to make sure that we read through the script multiple times and they understood who the characters were and what their goals were with each other. I had a lot of we had a lot of bonding moments and experiences just before shooting. We all met up, we hung out, we tried to break the ice and whatnot. And I also let them to be very free, loosely with the dialogue, still following the script of the story, but um, I didn't want to construct anything from them. If it felt natural, I would just say, improvise if you'd like, and if not, we could just go again. Um, yeah, I just think a lot of rehearsing and a lot of patience from both actor and non-actor, and I think it kind of came natural to my aunt because she did go through that, and she
Mhm.
is a mother, and I felt like in a way she was almost like not acting. It was just
Mhm.
kind of her just reliving her experience as a mother, as a provider, as a woman here, immigrating here. And child actor, Sebastian, amazing job. He's phenomenal. He takes direction very well. Had to give him maybe like just a couple notes, but um, yeah, overall they just work together. I think the more we rehearse, the more used to they got with each other, being around each other, and just improvising and communicating worked best for us.
Now, of course, this is truly a Latinx story because the entire film is in Spanish dialogue. Tell us about doing that, and I wasn't sure if you have directed anything in Span entirely in Spanish before.
Yeah, so it was, I would say in the beginning, it was a little bit difficult trying to, I guess, explain to my peers or people who are not native speakers the story. And I think I knew that I wanted to do it in Spanish and also not have music throughout the film, except on the very end of the film, um, because I wanted it to feel very real. I wanted it to feel almost like a memory, especially with the color grading and just the way the cinematography is as well. I knew that I wanted to have a very dreamy aspect to it, and just kind of, yeah, thinking back of like me remembering what my childhood was like, kind of creating that world once more. Um, but yeah.
I did watch a few other videos on that YouTube channel, and I did notice the color grading and the cinematography is quite different. And I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
how?
yeah. So that was my DP's YouTube channel.
Oh,
Yeah, since he
okay.
already had, yeah, we just put it up on there, and it kind of got traction on there. But yeah, I have it up on TikTok as well and Vimeo on my account. Um, but yeah, yeah, he also did the cinematography for that film, and it kind of took a lot of conversation. And once we clicked, he understood exactly what I was going for. I was very inspired by Sean Baker, Moonlight, and kind
Hmm.
of that like realism, I guess, of filmmaking and not nothing on tripod. I wanted it to feel very handheld and like you're there, like it's real life almost.
Wow, excellent. And especially with the independent production like this, can you tell us about the locations you scouted that you wanted to perfectly tell your story?
Yes, okay. Scouting locations was actually it was I was very lucky, I would say. Growing up, I moved around houses a lot, and there was a point in my life where I lived in a trailer home for a very long time. And I knew that the story had to be in a trailer home. It had to be in a trailer home. So what I ended up doing, I went on Facebook Marketplace and looked up people who were renting their trailer homes or like they were for sale. And I found this couple who was selling their trailer home. They were Hispanic, and it was all like I guess abandoned. And I was like, this might be a little odd request, but I want to make a movie. Could I rent your space for like 2, 3 days? And they were like, yes, don't pay us. It's fine. We just built it all from scratch. My production designer, she understood the vision I was going for. Everything was built from the ground up, essentially. The room, the kitchen, everything, every single little detail was on purpose. And the location for the meat market, I reached out to a couple markets and they were the only ones who responded to me. They requested a meeting, an interview. I kind of explained to them the whole process of what I was going to do. And since I guess their customer audience in a way is Latinos, they understood the story. They were down to help a young Latino creative like myself. So I was very grateful for that. And we just blocked off that one aisle and bakery spot for a couple hours, and it went great. Yeah.
I'm curious, how long was this production for your short film?
So pre-production was around 3 months of
Hmm.
just planning, producing, getting everything together. The actual shoot was 3 days, very long shoot days, and the post-production was about a month. Yeah, and then I edited and colored myself. Um, yeah. So I would guess what, like 5 months total around
Wow. How did you
with a
enjoy
budget
this?
of 1,000.
Oh, how did
Yeah,
you enjoy this overall experience?
I love this experience. I love being on set, and I guess the pressure of having 20 people be like, Angel, so what's next is the most overwhelming, but also the best aspect of it because being on set, that means everybody who's there is believing in your vision and cares a lot about your story. And I love telling stories and having all of these people trust me and take time out of their day to help bring the shoot to reality is amazing. And I mean that's what I hope to keep doing. I hope to keep telling stories that highlight marginalized communities or Latinos or just any minorities in general.
That is so exhilarating. Now, for yourself, Angel, what actually inspired you to become a filmmaker in the first place?
So funny story. It was in high school. I I was very into activism in high school and civic engagement. And I joined, I was part of a lot of activism groups in high school, and then I also joined a video production class. And at that time, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. One of my teachers assigned me to do a documentary, and he was like, do it of whatever you want. It was my first time ever making any sort of film. And I just decided to put my love of activism and social engagement with like film work. And I created my first documentary. It's called Chasing the American Dream. And it's about these two families, these two mothers who immigrated, and interviewing them and their child and just kind of how they feel and why they crossed. And it ended up being selected for South by Southwest that year under the Texas high school category. And it was such a big insane thing for me at the time. And I remember showing my film and my documentary, although it was only 5 minutes. Towards the end of the documentary, people were crying, people were thanking me, people were just excited, and they saw the realities of like what really does go on, behind what the media says about Latinos. And it was that the fact that I something I made somebody feel an emotion, changed their mindset, which became like a drug to me. And it's what I love to do. It's just so incredibly validating creating something, and just having somebody watch and feel something is like magic. So it was at that moment that, yeah, I was like, I have to do this. This is insane that, yeah, I can use my love for activism and now filmmaking to combine, and I guess in a way have my own form of activism and be my filmmaking.
Especially the fact that you get to tell stories from, from your perspective, from your people, from your culture.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, for yourself, right now, this is a short film, and you have done short films in the past. Do you want to continue this path for now just to gain more and more experience, or do you want to jump up to the next level down the road?
I I would love to create something bigger, a longer project. And at the moment, I'm currently working on developing a new short film, hopefully being a concept for a feature. Um, I want to, dip my toes in as many places as I can. I just want to keep growing as a filmmaker. I'm also open not to just telling Latinx stories, but I'm also really into documentary filmmaking and experimental music videos, everything, a little bit of everything. So, yeah, hopefully by the end of this year, I'll have my a new short film out that kind of serves as a concept for a bigger feature screenplay that I want to do. But yeah,
Most excellent. Well, Angel, I feel like this is just the start for yourself in your career, and you have lots of room to grow and lots of room to actually make more films. So don't ever give up because this is your pursuit of the American dream.
yeah, definitely. Thank you
So
so much.
thank you very much, Angel, for carrying this conversation with us. I'm going to have to remember this and circle back on your next project. All right.
Awesome. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me.
Hey,
I
thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank you. Bye now.